Let's start solving some problems. So we're just going to solve some very basic problems without any word problems. Give you a chance just to practice your math and get your skills underneath you, and then you can practice doing some word problems with Pythagorean Theorem. So here's our triangle. Watch how I draw it. It's going that way. Connect your line. This is a right angle. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. And here are your measurements from the problem. Now, obviously, you're solving for C. So remember your steps. We drew, but now we have to label. Yes, C is labeled, which we want to double check and make sure it's the opposite. But since we don't have a number for that, let's go ahead and mark it with a question mark. And now you can call this A or B. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. Because remember the legs, it doesn't matter how you label it. Now I'm going to work off to the side, but you can come on down. If you're on your notebook, you can come on down and work. Next step after we draw and label is to write our formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Yes, you are still writing the formula. Yes. So A, substitution. 3 goes in for A, keep the plus sign. B is 4, it goes in, keep the squared, keep the equal sign, put your C, keep the square. Notice your squares, your signs, all that stays the same. You just put your numbers where the letters were. Draw a line down the equal sign, and let's look around and see what we need to do. So we see that these numbers are being added, but they're also being squared. So technically you would square them and then add them. But since they're all on the same side, remember we could just put that in the calculator. Okay, easy schmeezy. So 3x squared, remember how to do this, plus 4x squared. Hit your enter key and you got 25. 25 comes down, keep it on the same side of the equal sign where it was. C squared comes down. Put your pencil on the variable. Yes, I know it's on the right side. Don't freak out, it's fine. Ask yourself, what operation are you looking at? I'm looking at squaring. What's the opposite operation to squaring? A root, a square root. So square root that. What you do to one side, do to the other. Cancel and bring down. Now this is just a math problem, the square root of 25. Square root sign means what number times itself equals 25, or you can go second x squared 25. Hit enter and you get 5. So what is your value of C? It's 5. Okay, let's do another one. How about this one? I'm going to start with the hypotenuse first and come down. Okay, now that's actually a right angle, even though it looks, I didn't do a very good job drawing that. But we really don't care what the drawing looks like. Okay, we're just trying to practice our stuff. So there we are, we're looking for C, question mark. Call it A, call it B, doesn't matter what order. Write your formula. Hopefully you are pausing the video, hint, hint, and you go ahead and work it. See what you get. Let's see if we can meet up at the end. If you're still a little confused, then follow along. Substituting it in. I have a value for A, I put it in. Choop. I have a value for B, I put it in. Keep the square, keep the plus sign, keep the equal sign. I don't have a value for C. Leave it in. Don't drop your square signs, you'll mess up. Draw a line down the equal sign. Look at what you got. It's algebra time. How do I finish this? Well, can clean this up by squaring it and adding it together. You can do that on your calculator. And you get 225. Keep your C squared. You have not fooled with that yet. Put your pencil on your variable. You see that it's squared. What's the opposite of squaring? Taking a square root. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Come back and cancel. C pops out of the little house thing, and you can take the square root of 225. What number times itself gives you 225? Or second x squared in the calculator? And the answer is 15. Okay? All right, let's do another couple quickly together. So here we are. looking like that. A, still just working from pictures. We'll work from pictures until we get this down pat, then we'll take it to some word problems. All right, we are looking at a right angle. We're looking for the length of the side. That means you're in Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. First step is to draw and label. So we don't have this. We're calling this B and this is C. Always directly across from the right angle. Second step, write the formula. Yes, write the formula again. I know, write it again. Now we're ready to substitute. Got nothing for A. It's got to stay in. You have anything for B? Yes, you do. Put it in its spot. Keep the square. Have anything for C? Yes, you do. Keep your square. Okay, put your line down, your equal sign. Let's get our algebra skills out and get started. Pencil on the variable. It's being squared. Numbers being squared. Numbers being squared. So we could clean this up, couldn't we? So we can go ahead and square it. So 144. 15 squared is 225. And do that on your calculator if you want to. Now, pencil back on the variable. Now that I've cleaned it up, it looks a lot better. We can start isolating the variable. Now, should you take the square root or should you get rid of this added 144? Well, if you remember from the last video, we really want to get it out of these addition and subtraction operations before we take the square root. So since we're adding 144, the opposite would be to subtract it. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So you cancel and bring down. Take your 225 and you subtract your 144 out. And you get 81. Now, pencil back on the variable. You see it's being squared. What's the opposite? Square root. What you do to one side, do to the other. Come back and cancel. A pops out of its little house. What times itself gives you 81? 9. So the length of A is 9. In this case, it's yards. 9 yards. Okay. Let's solve one for B. So here's a weird looking one. Tall back and skinny like that. Let's just try to change the way that looks because it's a visual trick is what happens. It doesn't look exactly the same as the other ones. But it's a right triangle even though it's kind of wonky there. And we see we're looking for the side. So we know we're dealing with Pythagorean Theorem. We're not ready to write the formula. Let's label. Don't know. Always label C. And this could be A or B, but in that case, since that's B, we'll call it A. Write your formula. Write neatly or else you can't read your writing and then it makes it harder for yourself. So we're looking A. Yep, got it. Put it in. Got B? Nope, don't have B. Keep the letter in. Have C? Yep, 17. Keep the square, don't drop it. All right, line down the equal sign. Yuck. Okay, I've got some algebra and I need to clean up. So I'm going to clean up first. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. Can't do anything with this B squared yet. 17 squared, I don't know that in the top of my head, so I'm just going to use the calculator, 289. Now, back pencil on the variable. Okay, well, the variable's not first. You know, we like it first, don't we? We like to see that it comes first in the equation, but it comes second. So take your finger and cover up the plus sign. Cover up anything behind 64. Now, what do you see in front of 64? Nothing? So what sign goes for nothing? A positive, right? It's an understood positive. Now, if you want to get rid of a positive 64, what do? You subtract it. It's the opposite. So you subtract the 64 to both sides. Cancel and bring down before you do your math. Otherwise, you end up forgetting stuff. So I want to subtract your 64 away from 289. You don't have to punch it back in. 289 was already in my calculator. So all I did was hit the minus sign and then the 64. And you get 225. Pencil on the variable. It's being squared. How do we undo a square? We take a root. You do one side, you do to the other. Cancel, bring down. What's the square root of 225? 15, right? So if we're not sure, we say second x squared, 225, 15. So what's the length of the side for B? 15 feet. All right, so there's some practice looking for A, B, and C.